Um, about October, I think that's when it had peaked in India, and we had 97,000 cases per day. Uh,
Day.
per
Yeah.
day. But looking at the population of the country, it wasn't that alarming.
It's a
But
big
I
thing.
believe,
Yeah.
when you get to 30,000 in the UK, it's alarming,
Yeah.
right? But 97,000 was the peak that we had. And today, I think it's 9,300 daily.
That's extraordinary.
And nobody talks about it anymore. It seems to have gone. The death, so my German brother-in-law, I was talking to him, and he said, oh, you know what, you guys may not even be recording them or measuring them or even testing. I said, possible, but then there should be a corresponding death rate as well,
Absolutely.
right? So if we are not testing and the death rate is high, that means we are not testing. But today, if I look at the numbers, India's total COVID cases versus the world has been 10%,
That's
which
amazing.
is which is in which is very similar to our population percent ratios as well. The death rate in India is 6% of the world. So if that number hasn't gone up, and it's about 1.5% of the total cases that we have had. So if that number doesn't is not astronomically high, then one can actually give the benefit of the doubt and say there is the COVIDs are reduced. So I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Don't worry. This is the joys of our lives now on Zoom, isn't it? I mean, it's just what we have to live with. So sorry, you were just saying that essentially, the percentages are saying that, whether it's testing or not, the death rate is so low. This is
Yeah,
extraordinary.
yeah. So obviously the COVID rate is also low, uh, in spite of everybody saying that maybe there's not enough testing, but the correlation between the death rate and
It,
cases tells us it's okay.
definitely. Is there any speculation going on within your health systems, within the government, within research about what's happened, what's changed?
The government believes that or the Zero survey that they had done recently believe that India has actually developed herd immunity.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
our my personal opinion is it that COVID was already here in October 2019. We only started to realize its existence in March 2020.
Yeah.
It may have already widely spread through the country by the time they even took effective measures to realize that border controls and lockdowns and everything that happened up much into March and later, all the way till May. That could have certainly helped stop the spread. But I am assuming that this probably was already in place in October, November, December, January, and February. And I think 2 out of 4 Indians may have already had COVID, and it's constant. There is already herd immunity.
Yeah.
That that seems to be the only logical answer to this.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because here we've had, I'm sure you probably know, there's been a new variant which is much more transmissible, and there's been lots of scientific data about how these new variants are and how the mutations happen, and whether or not it's possible that the mutation that's happened in India has made it just almost disappear. That the version of the virus that's there now, coupled with herd immunity, is so mild, no one's reporting it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had some. I know some people who tested positive for COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and the maximum they had was a stuffy nose.
There you go. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so I don't
It's
know.
just, it's a huge and giant mystery. And like we said, I mean, I remember the last time we spoke, we said, gosh, we'll be looking at this in a year's time and going, what on earth? We're going to be looking at this for years. So
Yeah.
how does this impact daily life?
So daily life is really back to normal. I think the last time when we spoke, I mentioned that when I go traveling to the hills, I pass these quaint, small and big villages on the way, and never was any social distancing. Then there were never any masks. Uh, the focus was literally in the main cities of Delhi and Mumbai and Pune and Bangalore and Chennai, and that's where maximum testing happened as well, and maximum cases appeared there. But but even today in the larger cities, it's back to normal. There is a we would love to have social distancing, but with the sheer size of the population,
Yeah.
that is just not possible.
Sure.
So, but people are masking up, certainly,
Okay.
wherever it's possible. Many people are masking up. But even then, if there was a widespread COVID, the impact would have been felt.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's such an extraordinary thing to hear that, that life is almost back to normal. So everything's open, businesses are open. What about things like gatherings?
Uh, all open.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
you can get married.
Wow.
You can go to a funeral.
That's
Um,
extraordinary.
yeah, all
That's
okay.
amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah,
such a different perspective to where we are in Europe, where we're literally in our homes again and have been since November.
I'm aware.
No
Yeah,
shops are open. Yeah,
yeah,
it's well, I'm thrilled for you. I'm literally living your life vicariously. I was thinking about you yesterday because I
yeah,
think you said, I mean, you're traveling around, you're going up to the mountains, you're going to the coast. It's
yeah.
life as normal.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Goa next week for a week, for instance, and then we are planning a managers meet. 18 of us from ICANN are going to get together in Chennai uh, on the 25th of February. So yeah, it's all okay.
That's
So far,
great.
so good. Yeah, and
That's
and
great.
and the economy seen a V curve kind of a recovery, a
Mhm.
V recovery, which is also good. It went down like this and up
And
like
it's
this.
straight up.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
And and from the point of view of ICANN, you're seeing, I mean, is there international mobility happening again? People coming into India? Or,
a little,
uh-huh.
little. So we had very little work through the lockdown phase and subsequently thereafter.
Sure.
Now from January and in fact February as well, we've seen uh, an increased trickle of work orders coming our way. Um, Also, I believe domestic mobility is opening up
Right.
uh,
I was
for,
going to
for,
ask.
for, for us. And what's going to happen is that though it's still a trickle here, but and a lot of companies are still working from home, especially the American companies. So
Yes.
the likes of the Googles and the Microsofts and the IBMs, they still are working from home. They had earlier planned to work from home until December, but now I think it's until June. So
Wow. Is it?
which, which means that come June and thereafter, this trickle could turn into a tsunami,
Yeah.
and we need to be ready for that.
Well, I've got to hand it to you. You are ready for it. You have put so many people through the MIN training program while you've all been, quiet. You have a very, very skilled workforce. But that's great because it means that you can plan now. You're able to plan more effectively than certainly this
Correct.
time last year.
Correct. So as I told you the last time that we ensured that there were no job losses for us. We didn't have to throw anyone out or ask them to leave. It was difficult
Yeah.
because working capital was always stressed, but I have a feeling that it's going to pay dividends. That action, I believe there are some of our competitors who let go a substantial part of their workforce, uh, but we took a different position on this, and also kept on telling my boys that hold on, it's going to at
Yeah.
some point it's going to be back.
And that's a considerable achievement. I mean, I've spoken to our members all over the world, and again, very different situations. In Europe, pretty well every government put in place some kind of furlough scheme, some kind of financial support for employees. In the States, that didn't happen at all. In India, it didn't, in Asia, it didn't happen. So, to keep your team together is impressive. Impressive. Well done. So yeah, no, I'm so pleased to hear that you were able to keep the team all intact, and and everybody's gearing up for when things start to really move again. And with luck, I mean, as I say, so tell me about, I mean, given the number of cases being very, very low, is there a vaccination program rolling out anyway?
Already rolled out. It's the Oxford vaccine
Yeah.
through the Serum Institute, and it's doing very well.
Excellent. Good. Good, good, good.
They have the frontline workers first,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'll get open for public.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Very glad to hear it. And again, same here. So, hopefully by the time we speak again, and it will be great to catch up with you sort of at the end of the spring, maybe after the spring summit, we'll get together again and see where we are, because fingers crossed we will be able to, like you say, by the time June comes along, you'll be able to start planning again with work orders and what's going to happen. So that's good. And what's the national mood? How are people feeling across the country?
as I said, it's very positive. There is no talk of COVID any longer. There was a time when you only spoke on that subject. It was only COVID, 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 COVID. There are people who lost their jobs during the slowdown. Some of them have found them, some of them are still unemployed. But you can tell from the GST collections of the government, the collections are at all-time high.
Wow.
That means the economy is up and running. People are spending,
Yeah.
and so I don't see any a depressive approach or
Impact.
depressive mood in people any longer.
That's fantastic. I tell you what, it has been a pleasure to catch up with you, because I think what we all need right now over here is some positivity like that, because it's difficult to see, although our vaccine rollout has been phenomenal, it's difficult to see, we're still being told by the government, don't stay at home, we're not over this yet, we're all being quite negative.
Yeah, but I would like to tell you about. So what I used to tell my boys and girls in our office was the Scottsdale paradox, or talk about the Scottsdale paradox with them. Um, so I don't know if you heard of this, but
No.
so there was this Admiral Scottsdale. He was the senior most ranking naval officer of the U.S. Navy, who was taken POW in Vietnam, and he was the senior most officer taken POW there. And in his camp, he kept the spirits of his men going, with this thought that someday we will get out of here. When that day will come, we don't know. Don't build your hopes. It's not going to be next Christmas or next Christmas or next autumn. Someday we will get there, but we don't know when. So as long as you ensure that you have hope in your heart, and sorry, not a hope, but a belief in your heart that this will end, but don't carry a hope in your heart that will end next month or
Yeah.
next month. You will survive, because there are a lot of POWs in that camp who evidently thought they'll be out the coming Christmas.
Sure.
Christmas came and and they were not out. They died of heartbreak, and many others died of heartbreak because they thought, okay, in 2 years' time we'll be out. That never happened either. They were, I think, in prison for about 7 to 8 years, and and finally when they got out, and so those who understood the Scottsdale paradox and stayed with him, they didn't die of broken heart. They were there, and when they were released, they knew in their hearts that the day will come. But when will that day come? We don't know. But the day will come.
It will come.
So,
Rohit, my friend, thank you so much for that. I'm going to have that on a post-it note on my computer. Scottsdale paradox. Remember,
do that.
All about belief. It's been great to catch up with you. I'm so pleased you're so well. I'm so pleased that things are going well. I will keep that belief in my heart, and we'll catch up again in late spring and see where we are. But in the meantime,
Absolutely, sir.
take
Absolute
care of
pleasure
yourself.
to talk to you, sir.
Always a great opportunity to speak.
And give my regards to Tad again.
I most certainly will. Great to see you. Take care. Thanks again.
Bye-bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye.